Is that your foot off the bed?
I'm Janelle.
And I'm Lyurel. And you're listening to the Foot Off the Bed podcast. Just out here stressing.
Yeah, we fucked up today, guys. We fucked up. We thought we booked the studio because they didn't have the sessions for May yet when I was looking on April 20-something.
It was like April 20-something.
I think it was like the 28th. And then I was like, okay, on May 1st, I'm going to do it. And I thought I did it. I thought it went through.
Set the reminder, got it all.
Had a whole reminder. And it still wasn't there. So, but it all worked out because Gotham Podcast Studio is so fucking nice and accommodating that they were just like, oh yeah, there's a free room.
And they low-key love us.
They low-key. Like, how'd y'all find our picture that fast?
Us who just had us a name and a picture. They're like, oh, this you?
Oh, found us that fast, huh?
No, that was great. I love that.
All right. Man, I don't have much to talk about, like, before this, but, fuck Derek Chauvin. So that's the police officer that was in the George Floyd case, and he was found guilty on all counts. I know, like, we're, like, what, 2-3 weeks late, but, you know, we're every other Monday, so had to catch up. But,
there's a lot of news.
Yeah, there's so much going on, like, in this short amount of time. Like, the world is crazy. But yeah, he was guilty on all counts, and the officers, I think, are getting indicted. The other officers that were there are getting indicted with him, and charged with hate crimes and everything. And I was like, thank you.
Good.
Fuck that, man. I could not watch that, the trial. My mom was watching it, and I was like, nah, bro, I can't.
I didn't even look at it, because I was like, y'all gonna drag this out, and I'm gonna be big mad, so I'm not even touching it.
Exactly. And I was triggered from the Trayvon Martin case anyway, because I had watched that one. I think I watched, like, the end of it, though. And then, you know, when the verdict was called, I was like, nah. And I just started crying.
Honestly, I really thought they were just going to be like, not guilty. And
yeah.
I was going to be, and I just really didn't want to hype myself up to, oh, they might find him guilty. Like, I was just like, you know, whatever happens, happens, because that's how it works.
Yeah.
And I was actually really glad, like, that he was found guilty, because I was like, wow.
Yeah. It was kind of shocking.
And, like, the fact that it took an entire year and some change for George Floyd to get any kind of quote-unquote justice is insane to me, actually.
Yeah. Like, the fact that in 2021, it's like we're still doing this. This is still a thing. It's just, like, come on. Get with the times, please.
See, the thing is that the people who are in these higher-up positions, and, like, in Congress or in, like, the chief of police's office and that kind of thing, these people are the same people who have been doing the same thing for 30, 40, 50 years because they don't. I forgot to take off my mask.
I was wondering. I was like,
I'm sitting here struggling to breathe.
I was like, did she get her second dose? Nah, she couldn't have yet.
Not yet. No, not yet. I was just sitting there like, no, sorry for breathing all up in the mic like that. But yeah, there's the same people who've been in. There are people in Congress, Mitch McConnell, Nancy Pelosi, who were born in 1930s.
Bruh.
30s?
Anybody at that age, you should not. You should not be running the country anymore.
I take care of y'all in the hospital for a living. I take care of people 70, 80, 90. One dude was 101.
Sheesh.
It's weird to me to see them walking around. I'm like, any second, one fall is all it takes. They're done. When they're allowed to make the rules, you should not be allowed to make any kind of rules.
You should not be able to make the rules.
If you weren't born in, like, the 70s. I think 70s is a good cutoff point, because that's 50 years, so 80s.
Yeah.
Like, I just feel like that's 1930-something was a whole different time period.
Yeah.
Compared to what it is now.
Yeah, I'm like, you should not be able to make the rules if, like, fucking Jim Crow laws were still in effect in some places.
Martin Luther King wasn't even born yet. Like, bro.
Like, come on.
Maybe he was, but like, I don't know.
Might have been. Might have not been, actually, because he was only 30-something, 40-something when he died.
30, I think it was like in his mid-30s, mid to late 30s.
Yeah. So, he wasn't that old.
That was 63, I think. 63, 64.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, maybe.
Also, with the same thing, when we talk about this stuff, like, you know, George Floyd, Trayvon Martin, stuff like that, people also forget about the trans women that die, the girls that die, the black girls that die. And it's like, come on. Why can't we get this same level of energy for, like, Ma'Khia Bryant? People are, like, trying to... Did you hear that story? Mm-hmm. They're trying to blame her as if... Just because she was fighting. But it's like she was trying to defend herself. It wasn't like she was like, oh, I'm going to cut this bitch. She said, let me go get this knife in my house because y'all are literally trying to jump me.
It was her against a group of girls and a grown woman.
Exactly.
Older than me.
Mm-hmm.
Who was trying to fight this child.
Exactly.
And that part had me so disgusted. I was like, are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
You're an adult. Like,
why are you trying to fight a child?
Where are the brain cells? Hey, we're in a pandemic. We're losing brain cells by the second.
And what is so deep that y'all all had to come and jump this girl?
Right.
Like, I don't even want to know the backstory because the backstory doesn't matter. It's the fact that this police officer, she's calling y'all for help and you fucking come and you shoot her. What the fuck was that supposed to do? So now she's just dead. But you didn't even diffuse the situation. You just start using your gun. Does that make sense to you?
I don't even know what the training is anymore because, like, I have an aunt who was in law enforcement for a very long time. Yeah, like ever since I can remember, like if she wasn't in the military, she was in like the academy or whatever for police training.
Yeah.
And I'm like, at what point, like in the training, are they just like, yo, if you just see anything, just start shooting?
Yeah, like what?
Like, how do you walk out of your car and just pull your gun out immediately? There's no assessing the situation. There's no de-escalation. There's nothing.
And that's the main thing they're taught. Assessing the situation first before they even pull out their gun.
You walk into a room, look around your surroundings, like check to see if people are okay, that kind of stuff. Whatever. Like, I can understand maybe if you just pull out your gun because it is a high energy situation happening.
Yeah.
Everybody's like wilding. Whatever. But to just pull your gun out and just start shooting, that's insane.
But of course, all of that assessment and everything comes back when it's white people, of course.
And I do to comment further on how the trans women and women are overlooked in these instances because, like, Breonna Taylor, like, was killed in her bedroom 2 months, I think, before George Floyd was killed. Mm-hmm. And she didn't even get attention or traction until months after George Floyd was killed and they started doing the riots and stuff.
Yeah.
Because, like, I feel like people were, like, here and there, like, yo, look at this, look at this, look at this. But everybody was like, nah, we're doing something else. Yeah. And then I guess it was kind of like well, let's just add more names on the list just because. Right. And then, Breonna Taylor. That's what it felt like.
It literally did, because I was like, why is nobody... And then all of a sudden, it's like they're turning her into memes and pictures and cartoons, and I'm like, why do y'all do this to women as if it's like a joke? She's a woman. I forgot what... I think it's like a Bugs Bunny meme, and then there were a whole bunch of memes that came out, but they were like trying to do some trick where you like seem like you're talking about something else, but then the police who killed Breonna Taylor haven't been convicted yet. Like, why are we doing this? Have you done this for any other people? No, you have not.
Exactly. And the whole Ma'Khia Bryant thing.
Yeah, I was like, is it Ma'Khia or Ma'Khia?
Oh, I don't know. I said Ma'Khia, but it's probably not it. I am so sorry.
Yeah, we apologize.
But yeah, like it made me so mad because every time I scroll on Facebook and see this stuff, of course I'm in the comments because I have nothing better to do.
Yeah.
And I always see these people who are like, well, she shouldn't have been doing this. Why did she call the police? This and that. And I'm sitting here like, no, let me not raise my blood pressure today.
Yeah.
Because it's like, y'all's first thought is, oh, she died and it's her fault. That's y'all's first thought of a child who called law enforcement to help her because she was being assaulted by other people, which is literally what law enforcement does.
Exactly.
Y'all have called the police for less.
Literally for less.
Y'all called police on a black man for bird watching. We can't even bird watch anymore.
I remember. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I was like, are you serious? But
I forget dude's name,
understand.
but I was just so mad for him. We can't even have our kids in the park without people calling police. We can't sell water anymore. Like,
Nothing. Cigarettes.
damn.
I mean, like, I know that's illegal, but it's like, are you really about to, like, kill and, like, choke someone over fucking selling cigarettes?
Right. It's too much.
Definitely
And
too
honestly,
much.
so much was happening last year. And then this year, for like maybe one out of like the 30,000 things that happened to get some kind of justice, I'm like, that's nice.
Bruh.
...
Literally. Fuck them. Fuck racism.
Just give me my $2 million in reparations
Right.
and I'll be out.
Right. Like, you want me to go back to Africa? Fine. I'll go back to Africa.
I'm
Give me
gonna
my
leave here. I'm not
reparations.
going to Africa, but I'm leaving here. That's for sure.
Right. I'm also like very annoyed that New York is just like, we're gonna open back up on July 1st.
Bro.
Like,
No.
for what?
Yo.
For why? For July 4th?
I was just about to say, these politicians are like, they're like, this is their re-election campaign. They're like, we have to make sure we open the state before July 4th so everybody can celebrate, so that when it comes time to re-elect me, they'll remember he opened the state back and we can go get Slurpees again.
Like, no. Stay in your fucking house.
The governor of New Jersey, I think his name is Phil Murphy, whatever.
Yeah.
He was like, I didn't even watch the news that long to wait for it, because I was mad from the jump. His announcement was, big things are coming. And then the lady was like, stay tuned. And I was like, yeah, it's time to turn the channel.
Yeah. Like, what? Y'all think this is a game?
Trying to hype it up like...
People are dying. Are you dumb?
And what I don't understand is that people who got the first vaccine dose that are like, oh yeah, I don't need the second one. First one's fine.
Excuse?
They have noticed a sharp decline in vaccinations because people were, one, scared because of the J&J thing. They were scared that 15 people, I don't know what the new number is, but 15 people out of like 40 million got random blood clots, and I believe 3 people passed away from it.
Yeah.
And I understand it is a scary situation, but the odds probability class 101.
Yeah, because it's like there were already so many people that had got Johnson & Johnson already and nothing happened to them.
Mm-hmm.
But because people, like, the news like to clump stuff together like that, oh, it's so scary, 15 people, oh my God, I could have been one of those 15 people. But you're not. Like, just don't get it if you're uncomfortable, but it's not, it doesn't have anything to do with the other vaccines, and it doesn't have anything to do with you. Like, you are your own person. What if you are not, like, they probably had certain conditions that caused the blood clots. It wouldn't just be, oh yeah, I was just standing here and I got the Johnson & Johnson and then all of a sudden I got a blood clot. I'm about to die.
It's insane to me. And what was I going to say? It's crazy that the cases were mostly women, or if not all women. And
they
I was
were?
just like, yeah.
Oh my God.
I remember when they first reported it, it was 6 people and they were all women. So I don't know if any men got it when they bumped the number to 15. But I'm like, that's the number y'all look at instead of the 530,000 people who passed away from COVID.
Right.
Like,
it's like, so y'all
like,
are more scared of the vaccine than y'all are the thing that's actually killing people?
They're like, whatever. That if people die every day, whatever, that's just a number. And I'm just like...
And then the amount of excuses people are making, they're like, well, some of that, people are dying like from a heart attack and then they're writing it down as COVID. I'm like, okay, if some places are doing that, fine, but that still doesn't mean that it's not like millions of people that are getting this.
But I'm also like, if the person had COVID and died of a heart attack, you still had COVID.
Yeah, like...
So I'm like, it's not like there was a lie in there because you still had it. And I'll never understand. I mean... I guess I do, but, like, the people who are so mistrusting of the hospital, because I have a lady I was watching last night, and granted, she's, like, 90-something years old, so she's, like, super confused and whatever, but the mindset is what gets me, because I have so many patients who all think the same way. They're like, I feel like a guinea pig, you guys keep poking me, and what are you giving me, poison? Mind you, she had to take her medicine because her blood pressure was through the roof. Not her blood pressure, her heart rate. She's taking the medicine and still complaining that she's being tested on and she's being poisoned. And I'm like, I don't know. I guess I didn't live what y'all went through in the last century.
Right.
But, like, times are different now. They're not putting a bar in your mouth and sawing off limbs anymore. we do things a little differently.
Yeah.
And a little bit more comfortably than before.
Yeah, it's like I get why, at least with Black people, Asian people, anyone who has a history of their people being experimented on, I understand why they have some reservations towards the vaccine. I do.
And 95% of the people I watch are white, by the way.
Yeah, that was my thing. I'm like, so you are distrusting for what reason?
And mind you, the patients that I have that are of color, most of them are like some of the most chill people. They will go through everything just to get out of the hospital because they're like, whatever, we're used to being poked and prodded, both literally and figuratively. So they just get in the hospital and they're just like, all right, whatever, let's do this so I can go home.
Jesus. Sad.
It's crazy to me. It's crazy, man. Anybody aspiring to be a healthcare professional, I have one word: don't.
Damn. All these people in med school sitting here like, what you mean?
It's just frustrating. It's just very frustrating, especially in these times. It's so angering. And I'm not even a med student. I just work in the hospital. People keep asking me, are you going to go to med school? No.
Hell no.
I'm going to spend thousands and thousands upon thousands of dollars for a couple years to come into a hospital to all these ungrateful people, these salty staff members who just look at you like, ugh, the whole time. No.
I don't need that stress in my life. I'm already stressed out from trying to write.
Exactly. Stressed out by just waking up and knowing that things have to be done.
Right. Fuck it. Okay, so let's get into it. Gone Girl is a 2014 thriller movie about this douchebag man named Nick Dunn who reports his wife, Amy, is missing on their 5th wedding anniversary. So the police immediately suspect him because all the evidence is literally pointing to him. And soon he's under pressure from the media and the investigation. Like, the police are just all up in his face, all up in the house, whatever. And throughout the movie, like, they seem happily married at first, but, soon shit starts to hit the fan. And, like, Nick's weird behavior, like, he just seems like a sociopath. It starts to make everybody kind of question, like, did you kill your wife?
Bro. And what's the saddest part about Nick is that I feel like that's me. Because I've been so desensitized to a lot of stuff that, like, anything that goes down, I'll be the one with the straightest face. No expression. And I'm just like, yeah.
This is my favorite movie too, so I can't wait to hear what you have to say about it.
Mind you, it was the first time I watched it. I know we did a live stream with it. That was not the best.
Oh, yeah. I tried to block that out of my mind.
I threw my computer out the window. But yeah, it was my first. Like, I've heard about the movie from several different people, but I guess I never just had the strength or whatever to watch it, or the energy to just watch it all the way through by myself. And I was just like, whatever. And honestly, I didn't really care that much about Ben Affleck back then. I mean, now I'm like, I love Ben Affleck, so I'm like, okay, I can watch this. But before, whew, I could care less.
I could definitely feel you, because his other, I mean, like, other roles that I've seen him in, I've been like, but he plays Batman really well, and he played this role really well, because when I tell you.
All right, so I'll try to do a brief synopsis of the movie. On the morning of their 5th anniversary, Nick Dunn's wife, Amy, disappears from their North Carthage, Missouri home. Anytime I hear about people living in Missouri, I'm just like, sorry, ugh. So, a few years before, they moved there from New York to take care of Nick's mom, who was dying of cancer. Amy, a New Yorker by birth, wasn't too thrilled about this and even felt that she was being taken there against her will. Their marriage wasn't exactly the all-American love story, but as tough as things have been, it's about to get worse. So by the end of the day, cops and news crews have invaded Nick's house, detectives have grilled Nick into exhaustion, and Amy's helicopter parents have swept in from New York to facilitate the search. As the days pass with no sign of Amy, other than the clues of her annual anniversary treasure hunt, the case's widespread media attention and the general public's outrage placed the police under extreme pressure to find a suspect. Unfortunately for Nick, they're closing in on him. They're just out to get him. And because he's our main character, we want to believe he didn't do it. In spite of this, the evidence is kind of just like stacked against him. And especially his affair with a much younger woman. That made me mad. She's like, you have to talk to me every day or I'll go insane.
Like, what?
I was like, girl.
Go sit your 18-year-old ass down. And first of all, he's a fucking weirdo for, like, sleeping with this young... I mean, I'm sure she's probably not 18, but she's definitely, like, some teeny bopper-looking girl. Like, she looked like she's right on the dot, 19,
too much
18.
Energy for me.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's your student, bro. That makes it so much.
I've never understood those teacher-student fantasies.
Right. Like, I mean, it's one thing to, like, role play or whatever, but to actually be doing it, I
think I would be weirded out.
So a trail of clues leads Nick to important places in their relationship before finally arriving at his anniversary present. In spite of their ongoing marital problems, Nick finds himself falling in love with Amy as he reads the love notes she leaves at each location, feeling wooed back to her, although it seems too late. The investigation of her disappearance isn't the only thread in the story, however. Part 1 is also punctuated with excerpts from Amy's personal diary, giving us a glimpse of her witty but high-strung only child personality. Only child syndrome.
Damn, am I a sociopath? I'm an only child.
It hasn't been brought out yet. Hopefully I won't be around to see it. I don't know, y'all be wildin' sometimes.
We do. I ain't even going front.
But through these entries, Amy reveals how her and Nick's seemingly charmed romance began to deteriorate. While they were once magazine writers in New York, both lost their jobs before the move to Missouri. In spite of Amy's objections, though, they seem to be stuck there permanently even after his mom's death, which I thought was messed up.
Yeah.
Like, you were like, oh, we're just going to move here to take care of my mom, and then we just end up staying here. Like, who wants to be...
Like, why am I here? Can we move? Goddamn.
It's messed up. And then he opened a bar with his sister. Like, that's how you know he was not planning to leave.
Yeah. Like, how dare you?
In the movie, I liked it. It was, like, cute because it was called, like, The Bar or whatever. I think that's what it was called.
I can't even remember.
The Bar. I think in the actual story it's called The Shack. But yeah, in the movie it was called The Bar. I believe that's what it was called. I didn't know that was his twin sister. Or supposed to be his twin sister.
Yeah, which is like, I'm like, y'all look nothing alike.
Right.
So, okay.
I mean, y'all chose Ben Affleck as one of the leading roles, and y'all thought y'all was gonna find a woman who was gonna look similar to it.
That's true.
Confusion. So Nick opens a bar. He's got a job in a community college, and he's growing distant, possessive, and violent. And Amy's diary reveals a woman who is never sure where she stands with her husband and is scared enough to try to buy a gun. And back in the present day, the evidence against Nick continues to pile up. The cops find traces of massive blood loss on the kitchen floor, stacks of maxed out credit card bills, and discrepancies that make the scene in the living room look staged. As the investigation turns against him, Nick continues to deny that he had any involvement with Amy's disappearance while simultaneously trying to keep the secret of his affair from getting out. That's so tough. Tough. I'm like, he's like, I didn't do it. I mean, I did all this other stuff, but I didn't do that.
Right. Like, I didn't do any of that. I might have did that, but I didn't do that. I didn't kill, nah.
And then Nick realizes he's in big trouble, though, when the treasure hunt leads to the woodshed behind his sister's house, which is packed to the hilt with the golf clubs and electronics from the credit card bills.
I would have lost my fucking mind.
Oops.
Would have lost my mind. Bitch, who bought all this stuff on my credit card?
I would have been heated, bro. Like, can we take this back? Can I fix the cards? Can I get the refund, please?
He's like, this is identity theft.
Bro.
Your wife is missing, sir.
And they were so... One thing that got to me was that the detective was so sure she got him. Mm-hmm. All this stuff in the garage.
She's just like, yeah, you looking real sus.
But I'm like, if you did like the fingerprint thing or whatever on any of that stuff, you wouldn't find his fingerprints.
Yeah, because he'd be like, bruh, you would know I didn't touch any of this stuff.
And then they'd probably try to be like, oh, well, you could have got somebody, you could have arranged somebody to do this and then whatever. Something dumb like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there was the little twist. We find out Amy's still alive. And she's hiding out in a cabin in the Ozarks after framing Nick for murder. And she's super psycho. Like,
my favorite plot twist.
Psycho. And what's funny was, like, I was on her side for, like, the beginning of the movie. Like, I was like, she's so smart. And I like, relate to her because she's living in the shadow of the Amazing Amy or whatever book. And I was like, damn, I feel that imposter syndrome or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then she did this.
Like, Amazing Amy got married before me. Amazing Amy, what did she say? Did gymnastics, and I didn't even get into that.
Amazing Amy had got a puppy or something like that.
I never got a puppy.
I was like, damn.
It's like, so y'all just basically showing me the type of kid you want, and you had to settle with me.
Right. Y'all were like, y'all just oppressed me for no reason, just so you can give this imaginary child the life I wanted.
Right. Like,
damn, that's... I would feel some type of way. I mean, but I guess if your parents are rich and you can do whatever you want almost, I'm going to be like, I'm going to keep quiet a little bit. I'm going to be angry, but I'm going to keep quiet.
Right. Let me shut my mouth. Y'all got money for me? All right, I'm going to shut my mouth. Hush money.
So, yeah, we find out that the entire scene for Nick is of Amy's own invention, including the credit card purchases, the blood on the kitchen floor, and even a gullible neighbor who's broken the news to the cops that Amy's pregnant. But she's not really pregnant.
She used her fucking pee to...
She was like, find an idiot pregnant neighbor to befriend. I was like, you found the perfect one, because goodness.
Yeah, she was actually really dumb, too.
She thought
like,
y'all
girl,
was tight.
Right. Like, y'all only been hanging out for how long? Talking about I'm her best friend. What? You don't know nothing about this one.
And Amy's so crazy. Like, she, like, planned out, like, all right, I'm going to hide out or whatever until I run out of money and then drown myself and let my body wash up on the Gulf of Mexico to be discovered. And I was just like, girl, you could leave. Yeah, you can do whatever you want.
Just divorce him. I'm not understanding.
I mean, she dragged it, but, like, you didn't have to plan to kill yourself. Like, you could have just left.
Right. Just left and have everybody think you're missing.
But yeah, so her plans to kill herself, though, is foiled when her neighbors come up and rob her because they found she dropped a fanny pack and they were like, there's definitely money in it.
Mm-hmm. She's stupid, too, because I was like, why would you, like, I get it, you don't want to be traceable with a bank, so you can't put it on a debit card.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like, ma'am, you could have put that money somewhere on your body somewhere. Why you got it in a fanny pack? Like that, like,
This
you
is why
mad
The
close
Rock-
to the fanny pack.
This is why The Rock was always like, no fanny packs. This is that exact reason why. But honestly, I would have put it in my shoes.
Yeah, like something, like split it up in like your bra.
Something.
Places where they wouldn't be like, we can't tell that she has money.
And I'm like, if you're on the run, why are you making friends?
Yeah, I'd be like, I'm not talking
The
to
second
y'all.
she spoke to me, I would have turned away.
Like, your dumbass went mini golfing with these motherfuckers.
I don't know, y'all being an awkward third wheel. Like,
Right.
So yeah, back at the Dunn Ranch, Nick hires a high-powered New York celebrity attorney and is trying to cover his butt, though it's not going well.
Tyler Perry played the attorney. I'm still baffled by that.
Mind you, I was actually not cringing at his acting.
Yeah.
I was actually okay with him in the
Because
movie.
outside of, like, all that Medea shit, he's actually, like, a good actor.
Mhm.
I just wish he would stop doing all this other bullshit.
Some movies he did were good. I liked when he did the plays.
Yeah, the plays were amazing.
And then we started going too far.
It's like, I don't think Medea really needed anything after Family Reunion.
And then the only ever lessons that he teaches are, you gotta control your kids and don't be nobody's fool. And after a while, it just gets so annoying.
And he obviously hates
And
black women because why the fuck are they always going through some shit?
Bro.
Like, Jesus. Can they not have a regular life and then somebody fucked it up? Why do they have to begin the movie with them just like, the man that they're with hates them? Oh yeah, it's always a dark-skinned man that's like the villain. But just like in, which one was the first one? I think it was Family Reunion.
It wasn't Diary of a Mad Black Woman?
Diary of a Mad Black Woman, where she she was like living this rich life with her husband, and all of a sudden he turned on her and started being like psychotic and kicked her out the house. And I'm like, why did it need to go to this extent? And then the next one, the two sisters or whatever, and the mom hated the one sister that was raped by her boyfriend or whatever, or somebody.
Dark skinned.
I'm like, ma'am, you hate this girl because she don't look as light skinned and light eyes as this girl. What is wrong with
And
you?
that woman went through so much. That she put that man through so much, and all he wanted to do was love her, but she couldn't even like fathom being loved because she's been through so much madness.
Mm-hmm. And then another dark skinned black man villain.
Yo, you already know.
But anyway,
Back to the movie. Sorry, Tyler Perry. Anytime Tyler Perry shows up, you gotta talk about it.
you do. Like, you can't not.
That's a rite of passage.
It's for the culture.
But all right. So yeah, so he hires Tyler Perry, and a lot of madness is happening. The media and the cops have turned against him, and even Amy's parents have declared him persona non grata. And Nick attempts a few public relations events, even taping an interview for a primetime network news show, but nothing seems to be working, especially after news of the woodshed leaks. They're like, oh, he had this stuff here.
Mm-hmm.
The woodshed leaks, the discovery of Amy's pregnancy, he was not having a good time.
At all.
They were ready to arrest him.
On top of him just getting caught in all types of situations, fucking taking a picture with somebody smiling and shit. Like, what the hell? Then when he smiled next to her photo, the missing poster photo at the conference, I was like, yo, what is wrong with you?
There's something wrong with him. There really is, because, like, why would you do that?
That's so fucking funny, though.
He did not...
He just said...
He's me. Like, he's me if I, like, ever got, like, fired or whatever. I would walk out with a smile on my face. And everybody'd be like, she just got fired. What happened? That's me. Jumping back to Amy, being robbed of all the money she has, she decides she's going to go get help from an old high school boyfriend Neil Patrick Harris, who surprisingly also didn't give me a lot of cringe watching him do his thing.
He gave me a lot of cringe.
I mean, he fit the role. Like, he fit the... What's the word? He fit the environment.
Yeah.
And his level of creepiness made sense.
Yeah.
And I was okay with it. So she randomly meets him at, like, a casino. And he's like, all right, yeah, you can stay with me, blah, blah, blah. And he's pretty much holding her hostage because he's, like, got cameras everywhere. So he's like, I can record it everywhere you go. Blah, blah, I know what you do. And he's like, oh, you can work out and eat and, you know, dye your hair back to the way it was so you can be like the old Amy I used to remember.
That was so fucking weird.
And I was like, ooh, bro, it's not helping your case. It's not helping your case. And then it wasn't until Amy saw one of Nick's interviews on television and hears him beg her to come home that she decides, all right, I'm going to come home. But I'm going to do it in the worst way.
Right.
She said, I'm going to be ridiculous. And I'll tell you, this woman is a genius because she was like, it's like, oh, Desi, who's Neil Patrick Harris's character, I like being here, blah, blah, blah. I like spending time with you. And then he goes to work or wherever. And she's like pretending she's getting like, I don't know, like
horny.
That scene where she's like against the door in the camera frame, like screaming, pretend screaming for help and like bloody or whatever.
Yeah, I was like, yo, I was just like, who thinks of something like that? She ripped his shirt, bit his lip, so he had blood on his lip to make it seem like she had to like attack him, and then threw wine on her lingerie and went to the window by like where the camera is and just dragging herself on the floor screaming, acting like she was raped. Right. I'm like, yo, what is wrong with this woman?
She was in the wrong line of work. What are you writing for? You need to be in the studio acting. Right. You would get every Oscar.
Literally.
'Cause goodness. So she builds up this fake attraction to Desi and ends up having sex with him and killing him with a box cutter. And then she beats herself up, comes home, and creates this entire story about being abused, raped, and held captive in his house. And Nick did not look happy when he saw her come back.
He was like, you fucking bitch.
I was like, damn, wait till the cameras go away. Like, wait till y'all are alone to start going in. So, yeah, now that Amy's back home, the charges are dropped against Nick, but instead of doing something crazy like, say, getting a divorce, instead, Nick and Amy, who totally hate each other's guts, transform their home into a mini modern-day Cold War. If Nick doesn't cooperate with her kidnapping story, Amy will tell the press that he tried to poison her with antifreeze, something she went so far as to do to herself.
Jesus.
In spite of this, Amy kind of killed the dude, and Nick doesn't like living with that.
Oh, God.
So as frustrated writers, they do the only thing they know how to do. They write dueling memoirs. Amy, though, has yet another surprise for Nick. Once he finishes his tell-all Amy Insanity book, she's pregnant for real this time, and demands that he play by her rules if he wants to see his child. And having grown up with an abusive father, Nick knows the horror the kid will be subjected to having Amy as a sole provider. So he feels like he has no choice but to delete his book and resign himself to being the husband he knows he should have been all along. And that's how it ends, yo. Making me mad as hell. I was like, no.
I said, damn, I'm not even mad at sis though.
Bro.
It's like, she went through all of this just to be like, act like the husband that I married. You are not acting like the person I married. And I had to do all of this to get you to start acting like the person I married. So you good? We good? All right, cool. Like, girl, what?
That's insane to me.
Just leave him, sis. Yo, that plot twist was the crazy. When I was in the theater, I practically screamed when it was revealed that she was still alive. I said, what? Because it was a book before. I had never read this book. And there were people that read the book and they were like, yeah, you're going to love the movie. I was like, oh, okay. And I'm thinking like, okay, typical disappearance story. They're, you know, going to find her dead somewhere and it's going to not be him or whatever. Like, I knew it was never him. Mm-hmm. I was just like, I was not expecting that she was still going to be alive and plotted this whole shit herself. I said, oh my God, this bitch is psycho. This bitch is psychotic.
Bruh. Oh my God.
So, yeah, I've watched Gone Girl, like, this is probably like my 7th time now.
Oh my God.
Because I can't stop. It's so good. And I don't understand how there's people that are like, oh, it was okay, or they didn't like it at all. I'm like, you're dumb. Your life is dumb. Shut the hell up. That movie is so amazing. And I also realized I don't think I wrote it on the website that it was one of my favorite movies. I should have put it down as one of my favorite movies because it literally is. I watch it way too many times. But yeah, this whole time after we watched it, I was like, I'm dying to know what Moody thought of it. I'm going to be sad if it's anything lower than a 7.
Honestly, no. I thought that was a great movie for the twist. Like, it got to a point where, like, I thought I knew where the movie was headed because the way Ben was acting... I'm sorry, Nick. I was like, he looks like somebody who's going to kill somebody else.
Right.
So the fact that he didn't kill her, she actually was alive, and she started doing this Sherlock Holmes puzzle shit, I was like, so that really got me. Like, her genius.
Right.
That got me the most. Because
she
like, I don't care about the killing. I don't care about whatever. The fact that she knew exactly how to ruin this man's life in her own way got to me.
She didn't even Google any of that shit. She just did it. She just plotted his murder.
That was in
her murder.
Her thought. Like, and the dedication to write an entire diary. First of all, I have tried on several different occasions to write a diary. It has never ever worked. And the fact that she not only wrote a diary, but she wrote a fake diary.
Fabricated every single fucking story. Except for before she went crazy and turned on him.
She wrote a fake diary, burned it a little, and left it in the furnace to make it look like somebody tried to erase evidence.
All because he was being a self-centered husband. Like, I get it.
You could have just... No, I think she fully represented how I think I would feel if I had a spouse who did all these romantic things for me, and then one day I'm like, oh, I'm going to surprise him at work, and he's walking out of the bar with somebody else, and he's doing those same things to her.
Bruh.
I can understand.
All I can think of is Lisa Left Eye. When she burned... I think, what did she do? She burned all of his shit in the tub and then almost burned the house down. And I was just like, yeah, I mean, sounds accurate. Sounds about right.
I can understand. And honestly, I would not have gone to the lengths you did. But I'm not saying I condone it, but I understand.
Right. I wholly understand. I was like, you are the most amazing villain I've ever seen. Rosamund Pike, that's who played Amy. I always forget her name, but she always plays a good villain. Mm-hmm. Like, there's never any time where I've watched a movie and like even there was a new movie on Netflix called I Care a Lot that came out like maybe mid-April. And when I tell you, like, that movie was insane. It was just basically about, like, she scams older people, like elderly people who are close to the age where they're supposed to go into a home. Mm-hmm. And they may not even have dementia or anything like that, but she makes them think, like, oh, you're too old now, so we're going to take your house and we're going to take care of it for you and everything, and you're going to go in this home so people can properly take care of you. It's illegal for you to stay here if the judge told me that you need to leave to be properly cared for. And she did it to the wrong woman, and the man happened to be, like, this crazy, like, gangster mafia type of dude.
Oh my gosh.
And they were in a whole war the whole movie, and I was like, yo, she is so insane. Why would you do this to people?
I think I saw an advertisement for that.
It
That
was
sounds
so
very
good.
familiar.
I didn't like the end, but it was so good. Like, the ending made sense, but I didn't like the end because I'm not going to spoil it in case you watch it, but I didn't want what happened to happen. Okay. And then it happened, and I was like, fuck you. I was sad. But yeah, great villain.
Rating Gone Girl on a scale of 1 to 10. Actually, I think I'm going to put it at, like, I'm going to say 8.5 or 9.
I'm definitely giving it a 9.
Because I'm just baffled. And I'm like, did she really put this man through so much? And it's like... For me, it's like retribution, but like gone too far.
Yeah.
Definitely gone too far. And now I know why they call it Gone Girl. Not because she left, but because her sanity left. She said, F everything, I have to get him back. She was willing to kill herself. Like, plan to kill herself.
And even
just to prove a point.
The parts, like everything leading up to that point, I was like, I don't think he did anything that bad for you to ruin his whole life like this. But okay, sis, do you? I'm not even gonna get in your way.
So I'm like, as much as I love Ben Affleck, he was wrong for what he did.
Yeah, he was definitely wrong. But sis,
I'm sorry that you had to go to Tyler Perry in order to receive any kind of justice.
I done forgot the actual attorney's name in the movie.
Me too. He's just Tyler Perry.
Bruh. But yeah, Rosamund Pike, Ben Affleck, oh my god, amazing. And Ben Affleck played it so well because his whole staleness the entire time, like, I feel like this is how he is in real life. All he was doing was acting like himself.
They just asked him to come on set, and he was just like, what? Is there a script? Nah, just do you. All right, cool.
If you didn't figure it out by now, this movie is inspired by a true crime story. And I got it mixed up with the Chris Watts story at first because it's also so similar to that.
You said you wouldn't bring it up.
Oh yeah, you're right.
You're gonna get me started.
That's my last time. But yeah, I thought it was that, but it wasn't. It is literally the Lacey Scott Peterson story, which is so funny that we are talking about it now because I just saw a news article about him the other day and I was like, what the fuck? Did I bring this man into existence?
No, because he's been in jail this whole time and they overturned his death row conviction. Yeah, it was on a moratorium at first. I'll get into that, but yeah, it was on a moratorium, and then that's when I saw the overturn. I was like, what the fuck? Like, I randomly saw that, too. Like, it had nothing to do with me, and I was just, like, scrolling through my Google articles or whatever, and, oh.
Bruh, the intuition sometimes be crazy.
Me minding my business.
So, yeah. I did not realize that it was the same story until, like, I watched the documentary for the first time. Because I didn't really know about the Scott Peterson case. But I just was on Hulu one day looking for true crime to watch because I love watching true crime sometimes. But I found it, and then I was watching it. I was like, wait, what the fuck? This is Gone Girl. So, yeah. Y'all can't even let me know I'm talking like, y'all can actually respond to me, but
yeah, let us know later.
Yeah, let us know later if this is not literally the same exact story up until, Amy Dunn goes completely insane. But Lacey Peterson, she had a really normal life as a kid. She was a cheerleader from junior high to high school, which is like, okay, yeah, pretty basic normal life. Then after graduating high school, she attended
basic non-POC life.
Yeah. Then after graduating high school, she attended California Polytechnic State University, which I've never even heard of. But
same.
While there, she visited this restaurant called the Pacific Cafe. Well, cafe. I said calf. I don't know why I do that.
It's fine.
That's where she met one of her friend's coworkers, whose name was Scott Peterson. And that was in 1994. So Lacey was the one to make the first move, which, I mean, I guess he was like a pretty decent looking white man. So, I guess. But yeah, she made the first move.
I don't know. It was 1994. I don't know.
That's true, because they out here still saying Ted Bundy is handsome, and I'm like, where?
Oof. Oof.
So she gave her phone number to him, and then she also even told her mom, like, I met the man I was going to marry today. And I was just like, you just knew right off the bat? Like, damn.
Wow, I wish I had the confidence.
Right. So they dated for 2 years and then eventually moved in together. Around this time, apparently, Scott had cheated on her for the first time. But we don't know that side chick's name. We only know the other one, which we'll get into. And after Lacey graduated from college, they got married on August 9th, 1997. And then the following year, Scott graduated from college. But I couldn't really find where he graduated from. I guess it was California Polytechnic, but I'm not sure. Soon after, this is where like some of the parallels start to be crazy. Soon after, they opened a sports bar called The Shack, like in the movie, like you mentioned earlier, with Nick and his sister twin sister. But in 2000, they actually sold their bar and then moved to Lacey's hometown of Modesto, California to start a family. So
isn't that a brand of beer?
The what?
The brand
Modesto?
of beer? Yeah.
Modelo?
Oh, maybe I'm mixing it up.
I think it's Modelo. You gonna make me look it up.
I'm sorry. No, I'm not gonna. It's completely random. I don't know why that popped up in my head.
I don't know why when I can't remember things, I'm like, no, I have to look it up now. Modelo, yeah.
Modelo, okay. My bad. Wasting everybody's time.
So, in November of 2002, when Lacey was 7 months pregnant by this time, Scott was introduced by a friend he was this is what baffles me. He was already flirting with a woman outside of his marriage. Mm-hmm. This is like not the first side chick anymore. Now he's flirting with a whole nother woman. Mm-hmm. But then, even though they were like talking, she introduces him to another woman. And I'm like, so you just good with passing around this same man who was already married? Okay.
I hate it.
And introduced him to a Fresno massage therapist named Amber Fry. That's where, I forgot the girl's name in the movie, though. Was it, Nope, I'm not even gonna try and act like I remember.
I just remember her dressing up and they were so mad that she dressing like a nun even though she's a whore. That kind of thing. That's all I remember. I want to say like Alice or something, but I don't know.
I can't even remember.
It wasn't important. She was psycho.
Yeah. Like in the movie, he seemed to have more of an attraction and more of a love towards Amber than his actual wife, which I'll talk about in a few. In later public statements, Fry had said Scott told her he was single and the two began a romantic relationship. But we'll get back to that. Anyway, the last time Scott's parents saw Lacey was during a 3-day weekend they spent together in the week before Christmas 2002. But on Christmas Eve, Scott called and said Lacey was missing. He called the parents, he called his dad, I think he called his sister-in-law, his sister. He called everybody instead of calling the police.
Well, I know they have like a thing. I don't know if it's the same as back then, but I know they had a thing where like you can't call unless the person been missing for like 72 hours or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I would still make the initial call just to be like, yeah, I haven't heard from her. I know y'all can't do anything, but if y'all see a woman who looks like such and such, can y'all look out for her? Thank you. But yeah, he just didn't call at all. And I feel like in a panic, that's what somebody would first do anyway, instead of calling their whole family. I mean, you would call your whole family and be like, have you heard from her? Have you seen her? Blah, blah, blah. But after that, it's like, would you not then call the police?
Yeah, because like if you actually care about the person, you would do whatever you could to find them. And usually it's call the police first, especially if you've gone the whole day with no contact. But I believe it said that he was out golfing, and then he came back home and was like, oh, she's not here.
Yeah. His dad on the phone said he sounded like he was in disbelief, and all the family was worried, so nobody really suspected that he had done anything at first. Some reports say that Scott reported Lacey missing, and some say when she hadn't returned home by 5:15 p.m., he called Sharon, her mother, and a half hour later, Lacey's stepdad, Ron Gransky, called the police, which is like, okay, so you had to wait a whole nother half hour and the stepdad called instead of you, who was actually with her during the day. Okay. When police went to search the house, they said Scott seemed as if he didn't want them to search it. Like, he was just like, sure. Like, I guess you can search the house. I don't know what that has to do with my wife missing. But it's like, well, yeah, usually the husband is the first suspect for their wife have gone missing. Or at least, did you look to see if her keys and everything was still here? And yeah, that's like the first thing they said. Lacey's keys, wallet, and sunglasses were found in her purse in a closet on Christmas Eve. So it was clear she hadn't just like left him or anything like that.
Yeah.
And obviously she wasn't out anywhere because it's like, why would she not have her wallet and her keys on her? Police also said during that time when they were searching the house, his behavior was off. He like didn't seem interested to know what they were going to do to find his wife. He wasn't asking any questions like, okay, so what do you need me to do? What should I do? None of that. He was just like watching everybody, just standing quietly in the corner.
That is a sign of a man who the love was gone and has been gone for so long. Literally.
And it's so funny that this is like, also, before I even say that, why the fuck does Scott Peterson look exactly like Ben Affleck? I'm like, nah, bro. The parallel is crazy.
He looks similar. It's just that I think his face is more round.
Yeah.
Than Ben's.
Yeah, Ben's is more like a squarish type of.
Like a oblong.
Yeah.
But like he did look very similar.
It's very scary.
That was perfect casting.
They were probably
on
like
y'all's part. Like
they probably didn't even open auditions. They were probably just like, Ben Affleck, call him up.
That's Ben Affleck right there.
But yeah, he was just unusually calm during the investigation, just like in the movie. Mm-hmm. Where he didn't, like, he was like, yeah, my wife's missing, and he was just kind of standing there with his hands on his hip, like, what is wrong with you, bro? Like,
and poured a drink, and he was like, y'all want something? Like, that kind of thing.
Your wife is missing, and you're worried about credit card debt. If you don't go sit down.
He's sitting there like, what? Damn. Now my subscription isn't going to go through.
Right. So, then, Detective Bronchini, I don't remember his first name, but I just, wrote down Detective Bronchini. But
that's a funny name.
Bronchini, who was on the case, started grilling him and made him, well, he was trying to make him take a polygraph test. But his dad had warned him not to take it for some reason. I don't know why. So eventually Scott ended up refusing to take it, which made him seem even more suspicious. Because they were just like, you're not going to take a polygraph test even though you didn't do anything?
Right, bro. I thought you was good. What happened?
What the fuck? Okay. So, police warned him before they told the media, which is, like, so funny to me. This part, I was just like, yo, what is good with this man? They're like, they warned him before they told the media that they were going to say he wasn't being completely cooperative. Ooh. And he was just like, okay, yeah, that's fine. Like,
oh my
yo, what is wrong?
First of all, a polygraph test is optional. It always is. So I'm like, to even go that far, I'm not sticking up for this man. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
He didn't have to if he didn't want to.
He definitely didn't
just
have to.
Just because y'all were like, doesn't mean that he was in the wrong. Like, that's his right. Like,
right.
Whatever.
It was just really, like, it's like, I get it because it's sus, but it's like, to say he's not being completely cooperative just because he didn't take a polygraph test is a little bit of a reach.
Right.
But the fact that he was just like, yeah, okay, that's fine, also cracks me up.
I'm going to just smear your whole name in the media, in the newspapers. All right, yeah, sounds good.
like, nah. This man's level of caring.
He was like, I'm going to play it off so well that I'm going to be super obvious by my nonchalantness. He's like, I'm going to be so calm.
And then some of his supporters are so ridiculous. They're like, oh, you can't tell somebody how to grieve. But it's like, bro, This man not even showing no emotion.
I think the word grieve wasn't the word. I think you were looking for cleave, as in cleaver.
I'm dead. Apart from her husband, Scott, the last two people known to have spoken to Lacey before she disappeared were her half-sister, what? I just realized her half-sister's name was Amy. Oh! Her half-sister Amy and her mother Sharon. On December 23rd, Lacey and Scott went to Amy's workplace to get Scott a haircut at 5:45 p.m. That's the day before Christmas Eve, right?
Mm-hmm.
They eventually went home, and Lacey spoke to her mother Sharon on the phone at 8:30 that evening. So they had all spoken to her. Nobody saw her except for Amy and Scott and whoever else was in the hairdresser at that point. So people immediately became suspicious about his alibi because they're like, okay, yeah, you were with her the day before. Y'all obviously went home after that.
Mm-hmm.
But then when he goes into the day of, he's like, Lacey was walking the dog at 9:30 a.m. And at the time, he was fishing in a boat at the Berkeley Marina, which is also similar to the movie because I think Nick Dunn in the movie said, yeah, I went to go take a walk to think about our marriage, and he was going to come back and tell her he wanted a divorce, but she was missing.
She told him, I believe, to go.
Yeah, she was like, go think about it or whatever.
Because she knew he was going to be like, I want a divorce, but she didn't want that.
Yeah. And then he went on the walk and he came back and he was like, wait, this bitch is gone.
This man out here thinking he's doing something, come back and she gone.
So he said at the time, before he even left to go fishing, that she was also watching a cooking show, preparing to mop, bake cookies, a whole bunch of stuff, and then walk the dog.
She was preparing for Christmas.
Right. So later at 10:30 a.m., their neighbor, Karen Service, said she saw the dog, his name was Mackenzie, wandering around outside the home by himself and returned him to their backyard. So she's like, okay, why is this dog walking around on a leash by itself? All right, I think that's the Petersons' dog. Let me put it back in the backyard. Then at 10:45 a.m., not even 15 minutes later, another neighbor, Mike Shivata, saw Mackenzie, and I think he said when he was playing with his son or something in his backyard, and he saw the dog back there by itself. Then another neighbor, this one remained anonymous, but said she found the dog with a muddy leash wandering around the neighborhood and put it back in the Petersons' yard again. So it's this dog had got out twice, and they kept putting it back. And it's well, where the hell is Scott and Lacey?
Right.
But she said she saw nothing out of place. There was no, it didn't look like the back door was broken in or anything like that, or that the gate was just open. The gate was open, but she was it seemed the gate was just kind of ajar, not really open. So Scott said when he came home that afternoon, the house was empty. I think he also did say that he went golfing too, but so some time had passed, and when he came home, the house was empty. Mm. He also told Lacey's mother that he found Mackenzie in the yard at that point because, obviously the neighbors put it back twice. But
those are some good neighbors, honestly.
Right, because I'd have been what the fuck? Whose dog is this? I probably wouldn't even know what their dog looked like.
I'd be and walk back in the house.
They'd be do you know anything about your neighbor? What neighbor? Scott Peterson?
My who?
I don't know who that is. But yeah, so... Yeah, when he told Lacey's mom, Sharon, that he saw Mackenzie in the yard, she was like, you didn't tell me that later on, when they had interviews. She was like, you didn't tell me that. You didn't even speak to me about that.
Oh.
Lacey's car was still in the driveway, and then he showered and washed his clothes, claiming it was wet from fishing or whatever. Of course, they thought that was... What kind of
fishing were you doing?
Right, were you just splashing around? But
he was jumping in and grabbing the fish.
It's I never went fishing, but I was I feel people don't just be wet like that.
Right. And if you do go in the water, they have the specific the boot the boot and leg corduroys, but they're not corduroys, they're made of rubber. Yeah. So that they can stand in the water and do whatever.
Yeah. So then he says, which is the weirdest fucking text to send. At 2:15, he sent her a text saying, "Hey beautiful, it's 2:15. I'm leaving Berkeley."
Oh.
Like, why did you say the time?
The time is written on the message.
Yeah. Like, it's very weird to just send a text, it's 2:15. I'm leaving.
All right, thank you.
Like, she wouldn't know what the time was.
That's weird.
Hella. So, people began showing up at the Petersons' home, trying to show support. Strangers, family, friends, all of them started volunteering to search, posting flyers, calling with tips to find Lacey. Literally just like the film. And I think even, like, mainly the parents were involved. So it's literally just like the film. So
I know the stepdad was involved because that was his daughter.
Right.
He's not a stepdad. he was like, that's his daughter.
Right. So, of course, everyone was calling to say they saw her walking her golden retriever that morning, but it literally led nowhere because they were just like, well, did y'all see Lacey? No? Okay, well then. Like, did y'all see Lacey later? No. Well, what are we supposed to do with that? So, there were rewards to find her eventually. First, it started off at $25,000. Then it reached, like, $500,000.
Damn.
Yeah, so it was just like, where y'all getting this money from to, like, get her back? But okay. Her friends even launched a website for her called LaceyPeterson.com. So I kind of feel like the person who wrote the book, I feel like I need to know their name, but the person who wrote the book probably was like, they're willing to go to such lengths to find this woman to the point where they're making a website for her that I feel like they were just like, okay, I'm gonna use that. How do I use that? She can be popular. She can be a celebrity, basically.
And mind you, they made this website in like 2004.
Mm-hmm.
So just imagine what life was like.
Well, 2002. Yeah.
2002. That's even worse. You just imagine that Dell computer with the big back. Dialing up for like 20 years for you to make a website.
Like, that was dedication.
For real.
But, oh yeah, the book is by Gillian Flynn. I did not want to disrespect her because you wrote the most amazing book. So it started getting out of pocket to the point where, like, it became a whole media sensation at this point. So I know everybody has heard of Nancy Grace. She was, like, a legal analyst and TV journalist that has, like, this really weird accent. Like, not a weird accent, but deep Southern accent from somewhere. I don't know where she's from, but I could just see how she would be annoying. I could see how she would be annoying because she just... It's like, I get if you're a legal analyst, so you have to insert your opinion somewhere. Mm-hmm. But it's like, sometimes her opinions would just be like, she's like, oh, I'm just telling the truth. But all of her shit is directed towards Scott Peterson being the villain in this story instead of actually reporting what the truth is. Like, it's just, it got annoying. So I kind of get why people were like, well, maybe he's innocent because you just keep, like, trying to pick and pick and pick at every little thing.
The more people who are against a person, the more people who are for them. Like, I just feel like it's like that universal, like, what's the word? Equalizer. Mm-hmm. So you have somebody who's, like, being hated by everybody, and then you're going to have a group that's like, well, maybe. All the time. It never fails.
Right. Also very similar to the TV journalist. I forgot her name in the movie, but the TV journalist in the movie.
Oh, the
I was
news
like,
lady.
she was being so annoying. And then at the end of the movie when she was like, he was like, you tried to, like, ruin my reputation all on TV. And she was like, basically like, it's just the past. Like, don't worry about it. Like, we know you didn't do it now. Like,
that was before you said all those sweet words.
Right. You done ripped this man apart. And then as soon as my wife was found, I said, oh, yeah, he's okay. Like, girl, get out of here. But Nancy Grace basically did the same thing. Like, even at one point, his dad called the station and said, you're, like, literally trying to drag my son's name through the mud, making him out to be a villain. And she just kept saying, I'm just trying to tell the truth. I'm not on the side or whatever. He said, yes, you are. She was like, well, yeah, I'm on Lacey Peterson's side. You just said you weren't on the side. All you're supposed to be doing is reporting the truth, but you're literally taking a side and inserting that this man has obviously killed Lacey Peterson, and it's like, you don't actually know.
She's just dragging it. That's all it is.
Mm-hmm. So she's like the main reason, and other journalists, why Scott Peterson's business was all out in the open after a while. Like, people were describing him as a freak for, like, seeming like a damn sociopath, which he did. Like, why are you smiling? Why are you, we found out about all this shit that you did and y'all relationship, and you just sound like you did it. So they wanted to know who he was, who Lacey was, their family, everything. So this is the part, and I watched the documentary not too long ago, but rewatched it just for this. But
right, there was a documentary, and I think I was trying to watch it at one point, and I was like, it's too much.
Yeah, it was on A&E, I think, but it's on Hulu now. I think it's about to go off of Hulu because it's been up there for so long. But yeah, it was on there. It was like, I think 8 or 9 episodes. It was very long.
Maybe it was suggested to me, and I was like, oh, I should watch that.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was just like, I feel like there were certain things that we didn't need to go completely in depth about, but I understood why they did. I was like, it was a good documentary.
My issues with these documentaries that they make on these issues, they make me so mad because we're getting into the story, whatever, and then they start repeating themselves.
Yeah.
And that's how you're getting to the end of the episode.
Yeah. That's literally what was happening.
And then you get to the next episode, and they're still repeating themselves to cover up more time. It's just so obvious that you're trying to use up more time to tell me less so that I watch more. After, the 3rd episode, I'm out.
Right.
Because I'm like, yeah, all right, you don't want to tell me, I'll look it up.
Right, exactly. So, this part was like, I can see why y'all thought this man was a goddamn sociopath. So, a police officer named Ed Steele was assigned to Scott as a personal bodyguard just so he would be protected, because the story was everywhere, and obviously people would probably be coming to his house, threatening him, sending him hate mail, all this stuff. Mm-hmm. So he was just there, and he even said, I don't know why the fuck I was assigned to him, I'm not even sure.
Oh my god.
But it was just like, yeah, he had to do it. So he said at first he seemed charming, but then after a while, he was like, something just seemed off. He was just weird when it's like your wife has only been missing a few days and you're being weird. So there was this part where he was like, yeah, we were at one of the conferences or something to raise money, something like that. A conference or him raising money for Lacey having gone missing or whatever.
Yeah.
He said there they had a table of food and there was ribs on the table, and Scott picks up one of the ribs and says, hey Ed, and Ed's like, huh? And he's like, look at this big rib, and he takes a bite and is smiling about the rib, and he's like, what the fuck? Sir, why are you excited about this damn rib when your wife is missing?
Right.
So it was just weird. So I get it. I was like, nah, he's a sociopath. Then, eventually, the media had pulled another story about Scott. They had found that he had a link to another case in college where a woman he was dating was murdered, too. So it was like they were already bent on vilifying him. They were like, wait, you were dating this girl and she got murdered, too? Sus. So it was just, the cards were stacked against him, literally.
So he was too worried about that damn rib.
Right. So the media was reporting that officers had said the house smelled like bleach. Lacey's hair was on his clothes. But it's like, why wouldn't Lacey's hair be on his clothes? That's his wife. But it was like he washed his clothes before reporting she went missing. But again, he went fishing. If his clothes did happen to get wet, he'd have to wash it off. Most of that stuff that they were reporting turned out to be untrue. There was no bleach in the house that was on the floor. There was no cleanup. He did wash his clothes, but okay,
it's
I
all
washed my clothes.
circumstantial.
Yeah, and then it's hair was on the clothes. Again, that's his wife. Why wouldn't her hair be on his clothes? Many of his close family and friends didn't really believe he did anything to Lacey. They were like, no, they're the perfect couple. They wouldn't have done anything. But it's also Nick Dunn and Amy Dunn. They seem like the perfect couple. They had their life together. They had their shit together. Mm-hmm. But his behavior is making him seem he did this crazy ass shit. So police were literally adamant about pinning him as the culprit. There wasn't much evidence besides he was at the Berkeley Marina, and I'll reveal what it says. But yeah, it's like that was the only evidence. Okay, we're going to pin it on him. And it's like, I'm not saying he didn't do it, but I'm like, if you don't have that much evidence.
That's how people walk free.
Yeah. So Nancy Grace and other journalists started to publicize his affairs after this. Like, after they found, oh, yeah, he was dating this girl in college and she was murdered. And, oh, yeah, the hair is on the clothes and all this other crap. They start to talk about Amber Fry. And Amber Fry comes out and makes a statement herself. Just like in the movie, the girl comes out, I didn't know that he did it, but it seems like he did it. So now I have to tell you guys that yeah, he probably killed her, and I want nothing to do with him. And it's like, okay, you didn't care about being the other woman before this, and you assumed that he was going to leave his wife. But he probably was in the movie, and you didn't even ask him if he did it, but you decided to ruin his reputation anyway. Like, what the fuck? But, in this case, Amber Fry was just like, I want nothing to do with this. I did not know this man even had a wife. She says eventually she had no idea he was married when they first met in 2002, and she started to feel uneasy about him when he confessed he was married but his wife died, and it would be the first holiday without her. So then it's like...
So then he wasn't married if his wife died, so... Yeah.
So then it comes out, like, you know, after Christmas... She saw the article that this woman, Lacey Peterson, was missing, and he's in the news as a suspect. And she's like, oh my fucking God, what the fuck? Like, he told me he didn't have a wife.
He said she was dead.
Yeah, so it's sus. And not only did he say she was dead, he said she was dead days before Lacey even went missing. So it's like, yo, if you are the murderer, you are a stupid-ass murderer. Like, who does something like that? She reports their affair to police, and they tell her to call him while they record their conversations, just so, like, they can pull a confession out of him. And he's literally pretending as if nothing happened, but he's like, oh, he's in Europe at, I think, with friends or something. And he even said, like, oh, yeah, my friend from Spain that I met is out here, too, with us. We're having a really good time. But he was really at his wife's candlelight vigil at the time. It's like, yo,
he's insane.
What the fuck is wrong with you know, Amber kept trying to bait him on the phone into a confession, and he eventually confessed to his wife's disappearance, but not to murder. He just said he told her she died before Lacey went missing, and he was just like, yeah, I'm sorry about that. I didn't mean to, you know, lie about this, but she went missing, and I just blah, blah, blah. And she's just like, that doesn't explain why you lied and said she was dead. Like, I'm confused. So as soon as Amber Fry came out about their affair, all hell broke loose. Lacey's family cut ties with him. The sister, not the sister, the parents were like, we're disgusted. The brother was like, I don't want nothing to do with him. Janie Peterson, the sister-in-law though, well, his sister-in-law, I guess like he had a brother and she was married to the brother. She stuck by his side, and his sister Susan stuck by his side, but they were both, like, shocked, like, it's not looking good, bro. Some people thought he just ain't shit type of guy, but he wasn't capable of murder. Like, they were just like, yeah, he's a douche. He's an asshole. Like, he cheated on his pregnant wife a bunch of times, but, like, I don't think he murdered his wife. Some believe there was concrete evidence that he did it, but again, I didn't find any concrete evidence that he did it, or any articles where they said, this is the concrete evidence that he did it. It's like, yeah, I didn't see that. But the media continued to interview him, including Diane Sawyer.
Diane Sawyer?
Yep, it got that crazy.
Oh my god.
Because once Amber came out, he was like, I need them to find my wife.
Oh.
It's like, oh, now you want to find your wife.
We gotta stop playing now.
I'm like, y'all done ruined my relationship with my girlfriend. Like,
right. She called me and was like, it's over.
So, yeah, at this point, that's when, the father called Nancy Grace and was like, stop doing this bullshit, talking shit about my son. So, this is where I'm going to talk about the details of Lacey's murder. or actually how they found her. So, trigger warning, it's very graphic. So, just prepare. So, eventually on April 13th, 2003, a whole fucking year later. Well, I guess not a whole fucking year later, because that was December.
It's
so,
like
4 months later.
It's okay to say the next year.
Yeah. But a couple walking their dog found the decomposing body of a late-term male fetus near the San Francisco Bay shore with its umbilical cord still attached, appearing to have been torn, like, not cut or clamped like the hospital would do it.
Mm-hmm.
A day later, another passerby found the body of a recently pregnant woman washed up on the eastern rocky shoreline of the bay, a mile away from where the fetus's body was found. The corpse was so decomposed, it was almost unrecognizable as a human body. The woman was decapitated and her limbs were missing, including most of her legs.
Oh my God.
So, on April 18th, 2003, the autopsies revealed the bodies were Lacey and her unborn son, Connor, because they had actually named him before he was born. It's just like, what the fuck? Lacey's cervix was also reported to be intact, but she had 2 cracked ribs, and her upper torso was emptied of her internal organs except for the uterus. Connor's skin wasn't decomposed at all, so they determined that Connor, eventually, that Connor was expelled from Lacey's decaying body. So he was born, but dead because Lacey was dead.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah. You know, they said they couldn't determine if the baby was alive or dead when expelled, but its stomach was empty, so it was not indicative of a live birth. But I was like, I feel like it had to be remotely alive, no?
Honestly, I really wouldn't know because she said the stomach wasn't full.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
That means, like...
Baby definitely wasn't born.
Like, he was, like, born or, like... No, he was probably, like, snatched out.
Yeah. Jesus. Later on in the trial, the autopsy revealed that 1.5 loops of nylon tape were found around the fetus's neck, and a significant cut was on the fetus's body. But... yeah, it was bad.
That's so... oof, that's so...
Yeah. So on April 18, 2003, they arrested Scott, and at the time he looked as if he was, like, trying to escape. He dyed his hair blonde, had $10,000 in cash in his car, survival gear, camping equipment, 4 cell phones.
Yeah.
Like, where the fuck you going?
Right.
But his dad tried to say... oh, he was just living in his car because of the media attention. With survival gear? With $10,000 in cash?
The media was giving you all this attention, so you decided to live outside.
Yeah, okay, bro. On April 21st, 2003, he was charged with 2 felony counts of murder with premeditation and special circumstances. His trial began on June 1st, 2004, and he pled not guilty, which was, like, completely stupid because everything is stacked against you.
Bro.
Amber tested... like, it's like they didn't have any clear-cut evidence it was him, but it's also, like, you are not helping your case with all of this shit that you have done in the days of your wife being missing and then eventually finding her body. Amber testified against him, detailing their illicit affair. At one point, which is crazy, I'm not even going to go into the details of the jurors because that was the part of the documentary that I literally had I didn't care about it. But the jurors were, like, being a little bit biased. At least 2 of them were, like, calling him a jerk and already basically saying, oh, yeah, we're going to say he's guilty. Like, they were literally talking to the media and saying, we're going to say he's guilty. It's just like, okay, is this not illegal for y'all to be doing?
This is 2004. There were no rules.
Well, one of them got kicked off the jury because she was telling the media that she was, like, gonna say he was guilty. I'm like, you fucking dumbass.
You had a high-profile case, meaning you getting the big bucks for jury duty.
Right.
And you got selected.
Exactly. So then on November 12, 2004, Scott was convicted of first-degree murder for Lacey's death and second-degree murder for Connor's death. He was on death row, but in March 2019, Cali Governor Gavin Newsom issued a moratorium for all 737 prisoners on death row, including Scott. Which is like, I don't necessarily disagree with that because I feel like prisoners, if they do something gruesome, they should stay in jail for the rest of their life and suffer like that. But at the same time, it's like, if he really did that gruesome ass shit, just kill him off.
That's so sickening.
Yeah.
That's just I have no words because I'm just like,
yeah. The only reason why I don't agree with the death penalty is because obviously it affects mainly POC.
mm-hmm.
So it's just like I really wish they would abolish that shit, but at the same time, I'm like, I get it. There's just certain people that just need to go straight to hell. It was also later revealed that almost none of the witnesses who saw Lacey the day of the murder were contacted by police and weren't called as witnesses. So it was almost like they purposely did it just so they couldn't have Scott have an alibi. Or yeah, all of them stated, even though all of them stated none of them saw Scott at the time. So that means it's possible Scott didn't even commit the murder. And this was reported as of March 7th, 2021. So basically, like, it's like his behavior is off, yes. He seems like he didn't really give a fuck about his wife being missing because he's just not shit. But at the same time, it's like, at the time that she went missing, nobody saw Scott around. So his alibi could have been correct that he was at the Berkeley Marina, not dumping the body, because that's what most people were thinking. Like, they were like, well, it's obvious that he just dumped the body when he went fishing. But it's like, yeah, but she went missing when he wasn't home.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like, they saw her being, like, walking the dog. There were more than one person saying that they saw her. Multiple witnesses.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, I don't know, it's kind of shaky.
That's so crazy.
Yeah. Some others, though, stated that the woman they saw might not have been Lacey, but just another pregnant woman. But I'm like, she doesn't have a distinct look, but it's like, if you are a neighbor, you know what a woman in your neighborhood looks like.
Yeah.
Like, even if you don't know her well, you're like, oh yeah, I know that's that lady that lives, like, right down the block.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It just seems kind of sus. Janie Peterson had also noted that on the same day of the murder, a burglary happened right across the street from Lacey and Scott's home by Stephen Todd and Donald Pierce. As of April 27, 2021, Scott appeared in court remotely for a status hearing on a new death penalty trial. A judge set a new court date for June 21st, 2021.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane.
But then it's like the article that we just saw seems to contradict that. So are they saying, like, he's not on death row anymore, or he is?
That's what I felt like. Well, at least when I read it, it felt like they were saying that he's off of death row.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm confused. Maybe they eventually said, okay, no, we're not doing the death row thing. Like, I kind of want to look it up right now.
Okay, so a moratorium is a temporary prohibition of an activity. Yeah, so it basically took him off of it.
Yeah,
which would make sense why they're doing a retrial or whatever for June. Wow, I might actually look for that and actually watch it, because now I'm, like, interested.
Yeah, it was a good documentary. It was just a bit long, but it was like, I don't know. I really can't say, like, it's very confusing. Like, yes, I keep saying it, but he's an asshole. But can you really connect it? Then the whole thing with, like, oh, there was a burglary right across the street. It's like, what if it was them?
What I hate is that, yeah, you have all these people who are like, yeah, he definitely did. And then it gets down to, like, the last couple days, the guy's already in jail or whatever, and then you're like, oh, yeah, well, this also kind of happened, and blah, blah, blah. And, like, it's like withholding evidence or, like, witness account. Like, you're equivocating. You're not lying,
right?
But you're not telling the whole truth as well.
Yeah, like, what if it was them, whatever their names were, Steven and whoever, like, if they literally just burglarized across the street, what if Lacey was walking past and they were just like, oh, she
saw them and they were like, we gotta dispose of her,
right?
Because that's some sick stuff.
But then it's also, like, the main thing that Scott said that, like, makes it seem like he did it is that you lied and said that your wife was dead when she was like
when
days
you didn't
before
know
she was missing.
You were just like, it was so like coincidental. You were like, okay, I want her to still like me and like feel bad for me, so let me say my wife died.
Like, what? You could have just said divorced.
Right.
Like, what? But yeah, I don't know. It's really tough. I don't know, but I did not even realize before watching the documentary that it was literally Gone Girl. I was like, wait, what the fuck? Oh shit!
And now I understand that it literally is almost the same story.
Literally.
And the Chris Watts story is very different.
Yeah.
Because I have to talk about it for 2 seconds. It'll be very, very brief.
Sure.
Because I remember distinctly, like, years ago. Well, it wasn't that many years ago. But I was working at the hospital at the time, and it'll be like 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm watching the news for no reason. And I remember distinctly this guy on the news, getting on the news and saying he just wanted somebody to help him. Like, he wanted everybody to help him find his wife because his wife is missing. He loved her, this and that.
Mm-hmm.
And when I saw that, I was like, look at his face. He's hiding something. Like, he definitely did. Like,
yeah.
I was saying it jokingly because I was just like, that's the horror movie guesser in me.
Yeah.
So I was just like, yeah, he definitely did. And I didn't look into it any further than that. It was like, whatever. And then the documentary came out on Hulu?
Netflix. I think it was called An American Crime. Something like that. Family Next Door, An American something.
Something like that. And I was like, wait. And I watched that whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
I watched the whole thing because I was like, this is weird. It happened right in my time. It's like I'm living this.
Jesus.
It was so strange. But yeah, he like actually did do it. And he was just a terrible liar, terrible person.
The moment when his neighbor was like, as soon as he walked out and went somewhere, and the neighbor was like, he ain't acting right. I said, damn. She
knew. And then I just wanted to bring up an interesting tidbit related to that as well. Like, from my paranormal findings, because I'm always watching ghost videos or whatever. It was actually captured in their house, the Watts home, when the police were investigating, looking for any signs of where Shanann and her children would have gone. They actually picked up an EVP on one of the officers' body cameras.
Mm.
So they didn't see anything, but like they heard the voice of like children laughing. Like they went into like the girls' room and they were in the closet, and one of the police officers actually heard, like in real time, heard laughter, and the other one who was in the closet didn't hear it. So that she was like, "What?" But then when they looked back over the footage, you could hear it on the body camera.
No.
And then there was another instance while the police were going through the house where I think somebody was going up and down the stairs or whatever, and you could hear on the body camera as well the voice of a woman saying, "We're here."
Mm.
And I was like, ooh. It gave me such chills. I was like, oh, they did not deserve that at all.
Right.
Her and those two little girls.
Yeah, he was fucking piece of shit.
Yeah. And you just stupid.
Yeah, like he was terrible.
It makes it worse. Like, you could have just broke it off.
Left her. And the girlfriend was sus, too.
Ugh. I'm just saying, you get married to somebody, you don't like them, you unmarry them.
Right.
That's it. Because y'all be doing too much for me.
I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why. I've noticed a pattern with these stories, too. Every time a man has been married, even if it doesn't matter if it's short time, long time, they always, instead of just divorcing the woman, they're like, you know what would be better? Killing her.
Because if she died, then there's no record that there was ever a marriage, and then we can all just move on.
It's like they premeditate this with the thought, like, I can get away with this. No, you can't. You cannot.
Because the guilt is all over your face, especially if you're dumb.
And in this, like, okay, I could see, like, 70s, a lot of people probably got, like, away with a lot of murder in the 60s, 70s, anytime before that. But, like,
y'all was just ruthless.
We in the 2000s now, DNA testing already started. Bro, you gone.
And you didn't even try. You didn't even try. Yo, it was just half-assed lies and just blank stares at the wall. I'm gonna just keep saying the same thing I've been saying over and over. It'll stick. No, bro. No.
I was about to say something bad, but I was like, I feel like if a sociopath watched Gone Girl, they'd be like, oh yeah, that's how I can get away with murder.
I really do feel bad for Scott, because part of me is like, what if he didn't do it? The other part of me is like, you're still dumb because you allowed yourself to be put in this position where you became the number one suspect in your wife's disappearance. But just because you fell out of love with her.
Yep.
Like, he's a
fucking idiot.
I feel like you still have to care.
Right.
Like, y'all are living together. Y'all had history. Like, we just forget all of that. And it's like, even if you don't love her anymore, whatever, the care should still be there.
Yeah. Like, you don't just fall. That means you were never in love to begin with, because you don't just fall out of love with someone. It's not that easy.
That's what I think. Like, I feel like, yeah, from the jump, like, you were just like, oh, it's a new venture for me, so whatever. But,
like, you may not have the same feelings. You may not feel like we can't be married, but you're still gonna have a love for them.
Yeah.
It's like, nah, you didn't love her.
But to be, like, completely not there.
Yeah. I don't know. They're men are crazy.
Really?
Moral of the story is men are psycho.
And yeah, I love how they, like, spun it in Gone Girl to the woman being psycho and setting it all up and doing all this other extra stuff. But she had taste.
Right.
Aside from her
she
killing
was
that
actually
guy.
Intelligent.
Right.
Because
y'all would never catch her in a million years.
Right.
Even if everybody else around knew the entire truth, y'all would never catch her. And that's the scary part.
Right. She was a master, bruh. What the hell?
Unreal.
But yeah, good movie. Crazy ass true crime story. It was dark as hell talking about her death, but
yeah. R.I.P.
I hope if he did do it that he goes to jail for a long time, and I hope that if he didn't do it,
I hope that if he did do it, they would put him back on death row.
Yeah. But if he didn't, then
say.
I hope that someone eventually,
we find out.
Yeah, somebody just eventually comes up with the real evidence, like, hey, I
feel
don't
like
think he did this.
I feel like at this point they're just like, we're just gonna try and see if he's guilty again.
Yeah.
It's not even about her finding her killer, it's about finding him guilty.
Yeah. Yeah.
At this point.
Literally. That's what it feels like.
It's been 17 years.
Damn. Yeah.
Golly.
Sheesh. That's a long time to just be sitting on death row.
Probably still stupid.
Yeah.
But yeah, that kind of wraps up today's episode.
Yeah.
Don't forget to become a member of our Patreon if you so choose at patreon.com/footoffthebedpodcast. You can receive a special shout out, maybe introduce an episode or whatever other perks we think of.
Yeah, and we're also on TikTok now.
Yeah, so you can catch our creepy quickies.
Yeah.
On our TikTok.
We like the name.
Yes. On our TikTok. So you can follow us at Foot Off the Bed. And as y'all know, we're also on Instagram, Foot Off the Bed Podcast, and YouTube, and Facebook. All Foot Off the Bed.
Yep. So stay safe. And remember,
don't leave your foot off the bed.